how is he moving like that? I was not expecting to see Jason Kelce's body roll like that, but I'm here for it. I'm very here for it. And shout out to that tracksuit. We knew he was gonna go casual for Monday Night Football. I don't know if anyone was expecting the Juicy Couture Italy tracksuit.
This is Sportscentre.
Hey, I'm Julia Tashiri, and we are just a day away from NHL training camps finally opening up. Please, thank you. Something to talk about again. Yes. So let's get right into things with a Digital Sportscentre favorite, everybody's favorite. It's Craig Button. And we're gonna play a little game with Craig over the next few weeks called One Big Question, where we ask him one question on each Canadian NHL team. So let's do a couple teams today, starting with the Leafs. Is Craig Berube enough of a difference maker for this team to go on a deep playoff run?
It's all about the playoffs for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Craig Berube, having won a Stanley Cup in 2019 with the St. Louis Blues, is the man they're looking to help the Leafs go deeper into the playoffs. Every coach has different philosophical aspects, attributes that they want to instill into the team. And I think one of the biggest ones that Craig Berube brought to the St. Louis Blues was understanding when there isn't a play to be made. When you have really gifted offensive players, there's always a belief that you can make that play. But some plays come with a lot greater risk than others. Understanding when there is no play to be made and to just move on, give up the puck, put it deep into the offensive zone, that is something that is a hallmark of playoff success. It was a hallmark of the St. Louis Blues in 2019 en route to their Stanley Cup victory. Certainly the Toronto Maple Leafs don't want to take away any of the offensive creativity. It's about understanding that there's going to be times when, despite your best efforts, despite your greatest beliefs, there's no play to be made. Don't feed in to the teeth of an opponent, because that is something that has hurt the Toronto Maple Leafs in previous playoffs. I don't think it's just about Craig Berube behind the bench. I think the additions of Chris Tanev and Oliver Ekman-Larsson give the blue line a lot more depth, a lot more what I would call weight in terms of being able to play in different ways and to be able to allow the Toronto Maple Leafs not to defend more in their own zone. And I think that those, along with Craig Berube's place behind the bench, can help the Leafs be more successful come playoff time.
I don't know. What is he going to do? Score in the playoffs? Play left wing? We all saw that speech that Sheldon Keefe gave them in that documentary series. Like, if that can't get him going, I don't know what will. But anyways, let's stay in the division with the Habs. Will Patrik Laine rejuvenate his career under Martin St. Louis?
From day one of Patrik Laine's entry into the National Hockey League, he's shown to be a prolific and very productive goal scorer. Certainly, in the last few years, fell on some difficult times in Columbus. And just as importantly, he was trying to find a place where his mental health could give him an opportunity to be the best that he could be as a goal scorer. I think that he's addressed that. I think going to Montreal, where they need a goal scorer of Patrik Laine's abilities, to come in and help a team that struggled 5-on-5 scoring, struggled on the power play scoring. And with Martin St. Louis behind the bench, who looks at players and says, this is what you do best. Now it's up to me to put you into those situations, to give you the space to be the productive player you're capable of being. And I think with Patrik Laine, finding the fun, the enjoyment of playing and understanding, hey, I'm in a spot now where I can get back to enjoying the game and being a top-notch goal scorer, I think the fit is perfect in Montreal. And I think that the relationship between Martin St. Louis and Patrik Laine will be one that will be proven to show very fruitful for the Montreal Canadiens as they try to push the rebuild further and further ahead.
Craig Button, a pleasure as always.
It's always a pleasure to spend time with you, Julia, and I can't wait until the next time we're together.
Like I mentioned off the top of the show, preseason is just around the corner with training camps opening tomorrow. But that means we're close to NHL 25 coming out. But before we get there, EA is slowly releasing player ratings. And today we got the wingers. It's no surprise that Nikita Kucherov is at the top of the list given his Art Ross win, and becoming the 5th player in NHL history to record 100 assists in a single season. That's insane. I feel like more people should be talking about this. I know, right? Like, it's just like we just let it happen and now we're over it. Now, as far as surprises go, Matthew Tkachuk at 92 could be one for some people. He didn't have a 100-point season for the first time since 2020-21, but he recorded over a point per game and had 22 points in 24 playoff games. And oh right, won the Stanley Cup. So maybe they're just properly weighting the more important games of the season. Another maybe surprise might be Mikko Rantanen, as the Avs winger is a 93 and not in the same tier as Pasta or Panarin at 95. Tell me Luka wrote this script without telling me Luka wrote the script. Even though he's right. He's right. In the last 2 seasons, only 2 players have scored more goals than Mikko, and he's produced in the playoffs more than either of those 2 names. You know, we're all big fans of sports documentaries over here. I mean, I literally referenced one earlier in this show. So when we got the news that a new hockey doc was coming to Crave, our ears perked right up. And tomorrow, the rebuild inside the Montreal Canadiens debuts on Crave. This 8-episode series gives fans a rare look inside one of the most iconic franchises in sports. The access they get is unreal, and we hear some great behind-the-scenes stories of a Habs team undergoing profound change. Marissa had the chance to catch up with the narrator of the series, George Stroumboulopoulos, to talk about the rebuild. And listen, we're about to break the 4th wall because the secret's out. There's 2 bar down walls. There's 2 bar down walls and Marissa is standing in front of the other. Here's Marissa.
Now joined by George Stroumboulopoulos inside the iconic Queen Street location where you spent some of your formative years
Super weird to be here.
as a Much
No,
Music
it's
VJ.
great.
Yes. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I've been following you on social for a long time, so it's nice to do this.
Well,
Nice
I mean,
to,
I guess we're just
especially when
fans
you
of each
pick
other.
Fights, especially when, well, they pick fights and you engage. I love that. I love when you do that.
Yeah. We can talk about that offline. For now, we will keep it to the reason why you're here, and we're going to talk about you being a VJ in just a second. But
Okay.
we need to talk about this new doc that you're narrating, the rebuild inside the Montreal Canadiens. I know you're a Habs fan. It's fine. We don't need to get into fisticuffs about that just yet. But is this the reason why you said yes to the project?
Yes.
Oh.
That's the only reason I said yes. In fact, I said yes to the project before I finished reading the email.
Oh.
Because of course I want to do this. Also, I know that I did it partly because I'm a Habs fan and partly because when you get to talk about the Habs, you get to troll hockey fans of other cities.
Sure.
So it's kind of even though that's not the spirit of the doc,
Right.
but it's still pretty fun to be able to get into it with Leaf fans or Sens fans or whatever.
So you
know?
do that in the doc then?
I don't in the doc.
Oh, okay,
But
okay.
I do it around everything. Sports is supposed to teach you how to fight with each other without it being serious.
I agree.
I believe that. So I like the fact that we can do this. Plus, the Habs have been bad for so long, and your window is going to close as ours is opening, and nothing is going to be more of a double win than the Canadiens being good when the Leafs are not. So that's going to be exciting for me.
I love it. He's just predicting the future here because he's seen some of the rebuild. I've seen the trailer and some of the clips. We're getting a pretty good look inside, truly.
Yeah.
So is there somebody or a character that you feel like people are going to actually enjoy or be surprised by in the locker room?
I think, the organization building around Kent Hughes is really interesting. So watching him cook, watching him work is really fun. Obviously the players are great. Nick's got a couple of really powerful moments in this that I love watching what Nick Suzuki is. I love watching the captain he's turning into, so you see some good stuff there.
Okay.
But it's trading players, it's the difficulty of it. But really what it is, as you know, the crest on the front has more power than the name on the back.
Yep.
So it's watching this organization that's been breaking our hearts and giving us joy for 100 plus years, mostly breaking hearts in my lifetime.
Same.
But watching them figure out how to do this right, that's what I love about it. But seeing, and also they're so young. The players are so young and they mean so well. And these guys know putting on that jersey matters.
Yeah, of course.
That franchise matters.
I want to go back to what we first started with. You used to be a Much Music VJ. Okay,
Yeah, a
we're
long time
back
ago.
in this location.
Yeah.
So how does it feel to
They
be
used to
back
sell
here?
T-shirts right here
here,
that
yeah.
said Mrs. Stroumboulopoulos on them in this spot, which is super weird. It's super weird. They used to sell them like right here.
Do you have one still?
I don't think I ever had one.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't think I ever
Okay,
had
that's
one.
too bad. They
I
might
didn't
go
even
for a high
know.
price.
I didn't know they were selling them. So
Oh.
people started wearing them and I went, what is that? What is that?
Well, that's just a testament to the fact that you were an icon. You were part of an amazing crew of VJs that existed in this very building. So what does it feel like to be back now and seeing Much Music just appeal to a younger generation, seeing it thrive?
I think it's cool. I think it matters. I think Much was a really free place, and Much was a place where we recognized that there were kids watching this, and not just kids, young adults watching all over the country that needed to feel seen. Sometimes when you leave a place, you have to kind of separate yourself from them emotionally to move on to another thing. And I was so invested in my time here that it was one of the most, if not the most successful relationship I ever had was Much Music. And So when I left, I was doing the TV show. I was trying to build other stuff, the talk show. So coming back now, it's been really nice to sort of see. And it's weird just because you walk through the hallways and go, oh yeah, that's where Prince asked me how do I get to an elevator, and that's where I talked to David Bowie, and that's where I talked to the Backstreet Boys, and that's where I was hanging out with Slash. And oh yeah, that's when one random day Trey from Green Day took my motorcycle and disappeared for 8 hours. And here's where Beanie Man walked by. And oh, this is where I was with Lindsay Lohan, and this is where Evanescence did their first interview. So I can keep going and going and going. So that was like all here, and I walk by it all the time, and I know that, but it's not till I see the pillar and go, Noel Gallagher and I were there, or this is where I got kicked out of, this is where the basement where I did all those loud interviews. So it's kind of funny. Shaq walked by here when his first year, like it's all really weird, or second year, I think it's all really weird.
Yeah, a lot of icons came through this building, and hopefully we will see more as this younger generation continues to watch much music.
You're an icon.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't go that far, but thanks for saying that. I'll take it. The rebuild inside the Montreal Canadiens debuts on Crave September 18th. George, thank you.
How does it feel to have to promote the Habs for you? How does that feel?
All right, this interview's done.
And by the way, there's a light switch on this wall. You guys, if you're paying attention, you know there is 2 bar down walls. Time now for my favorite segment and yours, Why We Love Sports Today.
Why we love sports today.
And one thing we absolutely love to see is athletes and former athletes trying their hand at other sports. And as amazing as Ronaldinho's highlights were on the pitch, his foot volley highlights are just as impressive.
Vera, botou a bola em jogo. Vai tentar. Agora vai ter que correr, Ronaldinho. Não. Aí já é desaforo. Trabalha a bola. Botou a bola em jogo. Recupera já o Ronaldinho. Botou a bola em jogo. Vai tentar na diagonal. Tá na jogada. Olha o veneno. Recupera Ronaldinho. Olha a bruxaria. Ronaldinho. Ele vai na caixa d'água, Ronaldinho. Respeito.
That's insane. That's insane. I don't know if I was expecting to be that impressed. That was insane. Imagine doing that. I can't even. No, not for me. Not for me. That's all for today. Reagan will be here tomorrow at 3 Eastern, noon Pacific. See you then.